yes, hear ye, all noble lords and ladies of the land, it is I, Sir Memphis, Knight Errant of the Curry Kingdom, welcoming you once again to the 100 days of Yu-Gi-Oh! Upon which 100 days we shall be performing festivities every single day. I must apologize for my tardiness. I was busy chasing some ghoulish goblin through the house today. I just discovered him. He was lounging around in the closet. He got away, but I will catch him. I will catch him and I shall smite him, so rest assured of that. But for today, we welcome you to another day of rousing revelry and magnificent jousting, of course, as it is the 61st day, and we shall be taking a look at another deck in the lineup of the week of Fairest Maidens. And we shall be performing a performance by more of these ladies that are of the Marincess cards. That is what they're called, I believe. More street performers. Apparently the halftime show is continuing on, which is odd because, you know, festivities are usually like a one performance thing, but I suppose in this world that's common, I suppose. Regardless, we have our Marincess monsters. We shall be striving to summon forth many of these ladies and give them their stage. We have a large battle ocean, as it's called. Strange name for a stage, but that is what it's called. And we shall be attempting to summon forth our ladies and do lots of damage. Unlike the Mechankos, as we played them yesterday, they actually have attack points, so they rely on more straightforward performance, but one appreciated. So, also, this particular venue has been donated to us by another king. Apparently there is a king in this land by the name of the Jerpg King. I'm not sure what a Jerpg King is, but he seems like a rather astute fellow because he sent his performing ladies here. And they don't look like devil worshippers or anything. I mean, I don't see anything suspicious about these. They seem to just be rather lovely ladies in rather, well, somewhat garish outfits, but they're performers, so you forgive that. Regardless, we shall be venturing forth into today's duels and attempting to crush our opponents underneath our foot. So, let us proceed forth into yet another performance. Verily, lords and ladies, I welcome you to the first joust of the day. Well, first performance, I said. Like I said, this is the halftime show, as Lord Memphis referred to it. So, that's what we'll be doing to you. Let's see, what does this do? Teretzia. Sets a card from the deck, you say. Fusion summon a fusion... What? So it is some sort of trap that allows you to fuse creatures together, you say. Fascinating. Fascinating indeed. Devilry. I really hate doing this. It's completely devilry. But at the same time, it might save us, so... Let us enter the on-battle phase. I feel very dirty about doing this, but then again, it's... Let's see. No. No, I shall not allow this, if I may allow it. Alright. I'm going to banish every card you're going to... What does this do? Negate my card, destroy, halves the damage, and summons this creature to the board. Very well. So my opponent's attempting to summon something, not entirely certain what, but it's something. Very well. Dinomorphia Rextam, you say. Interesting indeed. Alright, but regardless of that, as dirty as I do feel about playing this card, I don't know what this is, and I don't want to deal with it, so I shall activate the match that is even. My opponent does not banish cards until it's equal to mine own cards. Of course, I must sacrifice honor to do so. Not exactly something I appreciate, I must say, but, you know, sometimes you have to give your opponent a giant turtle monster. Sometimes one must do this. Let's see. Alright, I shall try this. Let's summon forth our Blue Tang. Our Marincess monsters have many effects, and this is what this one does. I can send a Marincess monster from my deck to the grave, and my opponent surrenders. I don't feel good about that one, though, because that was nothing to do with the Marincess, was it? No, it was all this. This card is wicked and unjust, and I can't believe that Lord Memphis asked me to play this card in my deck. At the same time, I'm on a bound to show every card in the deck. What is the answer, my lord? What is the answer? One day he'll answer me. One day. But regardless, let's go into the second duel, and hopefully that won't happen again. Verily, my lords and ladies, I welcome thee to the second round of performance. Feeling a little down, not going to lie, having to rely on that most wicked trap. Did not feel good. And we are being punished, I'd say, by the Lord, who says, we must go first. Such is how it is. Let's see here. I think a Marincess monster from the deck to the grave. I can live with that. We shall summon forth a monster. We will need no traps now. Let's use our Marincess Blue Tang, and we shall send forth the Seahorse. The Seahorse is a very nice card. It allows me to do many a thing all on her own. We shall summon forth the Blue Slug. And the Slug Lady is summoned. Well, she's not a lady. She's more like a little lady. She can recover a monster from our grave. And because of the Blue Tang, we can potentially add another card from our deck to our hand. Let's see. No, yes. All right, I'll take this one for later. Can't use it right now, but it's a start, but let's go ahead and special summon our Seahorse from our hand. And I shall seek out another little lady. Seems to be a troupe that has both adults and little girls. Bit odd, but it's what it is. So summon forth the Sea Angel. She shall search out our stage. The Marincess Battle Ocean, which allows our monsters to get quite powerful. We shall activate this quite now. And let me think about this. Well, I can summon another monster that way. Let us activate the Marincess Dive. We shall summon a Marincess monster from our deck. And we shall summon forth the Mandarin, because I can summon that from my grave as well. Many of our cards allow us to do this, and it's very good. So, what we shall do now, summon forth the Anemone. With the Anemone's effect, we will not use the field spell just yet, but I can revive another monster from my grave, doesn't really matter who. We'll summon her to the board. And what we're going to do is summon forth the Crystal Heart, which will allow us to make a monster on our board unaffected by all other cards. Which monster I will search is, let me think. Well, that would get me a trap card, but I don't want to use the trap cards. I am honor bound to show off. Well, we won't be using that other card before. You know, if I draw that card again, I'm not using the damn thing. That's just how it goes. We'll use the Battle Ocean, which will allow us to equip our links to our monster. And we shall use the Anemone's effect to recover does it really matter too much? Let's see. I think I'll recover the Seahorse, just in case I need it. But now we're going to go ahead and equip our 3 monsters onto our monster. Doesn't really matter who. We'll use these 3. And I've also become quite large. Now we will use our Triangles effect to discard our Seahorse. And I can search forth the Marincess Wave. And that will be quite enough. Quite enough indeed. We now possess a 3,500 point monster who, because of our Crystal Heart, is unaffected by all cards so long as we have our stage. Much like I said before, street performers require a stage upon which to perform. With the Marincess, very literally, they require the Battle Ocean to do a lot of what they like to do. So long as I continue to have the Battle Ocean, everything should be fine. If we lose this, well, that's when things get rather difficult. Not that I can't do things, it's just I can't do them. I can't do those things very well. Let's put it that way. Regardless, what are we up against? Eternal Soul. Is this devilry? Are you binding souls to what appears to be a stone slab? I don't know. Who is this little Nancy boy being carried around by a scantily clad woman? Don't appreciate it. Let's see. Apprentice Illusion Magician. What does this do? This card is summoned. You can add a Dark Magician. Alright, so this is some sort of court wizard doing some sort of trickery here. Possibly devilry. Not 100% sure, but more... I'd say like 99% sure. What is this? A dragon! A wizard forming an alliance with a dragon, you say? Well, that will not be tolerated. That I shan't. I shall activate the Marincess Wave. I don't know what this does, but I'm going to stop him from doing it. I shall stop him from doing whatever this does. What does this do? Go to the main phase. Confusion, summon a fusion monster. You would fuse with a dragon, you degenerate? Oh, I think it's the hanging for you. I think we shall be sent to you for a hanging. You know, a particularly nasty punishment. Just hang them about by their neck, and everyone can gawk at you. That's just what you've earned for yourself. The Soulful Servant. What does this do? Place a card on top of the deck that is Dark Magician or mentions it during the main phase. Banish this card. Draw equal to the number of Palladium, Dark Magician, or Dark Magician girls. Alright. Do you have any of those? I don't think you do. Not to my knowledge. This isn't one, is it? No? I don't think so. I don't think he can do anything, actually. Alright. Well, there you go for your devilry. You teamed up with a dragon, and you thought it would go well for you. Well, it's not going to. Because while I can't quite do as much damage as, say, the Mikankos, I can do quite a lot of damage. Let's see. I can get a monster. Let me think about this. I shall activate the Reborn of Monsters to recover a monster from the grave, much as the Lord would do. This is a fragment of the Lord in cardboard form. And that is what we shall do. We shall summon forth our blue tang. And because you've summoned out to the board, I can send another monster to the grave. And in this case, I shall summon this monster. A lot of little girls in this archetype. I must say, it's rather odd, so many little girls. But I'm going to go ahead and bring back a monster from my grave. So I can just summon more monsters. Let's see here. I shall set forth this one. Pascalus. And now we shall summon forth... Well, let me think. I think this is the right one. Yes. We shall summon forth the monster card, the Marbled Rock. And because of Blue Tang, we'll go ahead and get ourselves a card. Potentially. Excavating 3 cards. No. Well, it's a monster. We'll take it. I'll take it. It's good enough. I'll take it. And I will also activate the effect of the Marbled Rock, which allows me to recur any of my Marincess cards from my grave. Fairly so. And I don't trust any of the cards you have on the board, so I'm just going to get rid of them. I shall activate the Harpy's Feather Duster. Much better in line with how I'd like to play this game than this evenly matched thing. I don't appreciate that card at all. Alright, so now what are you going to do? Will you beg of the devil for deliverance? Well, he's not going to answer you. It's not going to do you any good. You're just going to have to take your punishment. If you accept it now, maybe we can reduce the hanging to a stoning. Maybe. Possibly. I make no promises. What is this doing now? Don't tell me this does something if I destroy it, does it? This card leaves the field. Destroy all monsters you control. Well, that won't do you any good. My monster can't be destroyed by cards. Okay. Recover. Oh, it destroys your monsters. Oh, I see. Fascinating. Well, that works for me. That works quite well for me. So we're going to activate the Seahorse's effect. I can remove her from my grave to summon another monster from my hand. Doesn't do me too much, but it's something. So let's strike our opponent down with Mighty Fist. I say Mighty Fist as if these aren't, you know, the fair sex. Not that they can have Mighty Fists at all. They're, you know, they're dainty little creatures, women are. But we can certainly do damage to a Demon Worshipper. You know, it goes God-fearing men. Then it goes dainty women with, you know, somewhat stronger hands. Dainty women. And then Devil Worshippers. That's how it goes. Well, somewhere in there the mutants go. But, you know, that's an entirely different kettle of fish to open up. And we shall not today. What is this doing? I mean, I have 2 cards to stop you. So I will stop you with one of them. Probably could have used the other card. But this works just as well. You have a rod. You're a wizard. And, oh wait. Perhaps I should have stopped the other card. I don't know. What does this do? You're trying to bind a demon or something? Target a Dark Magician you control. Attack. Is this a Dark Magician? I don't think it is. Oh, but that is... Oh, now he can use this card to draw another card. I see. I see. And I believe he got to change the cards in his hand. Well... Irrelevant. Irrelevant. Doesn't really matter to me. Not really. Palladium Oracle Mana. Let's see. What are you doing? Precious on a Dark Magician from the grave, you say? Interesting. You foolish fool, I am unaffected by all cards. See, that might have worked if you had actually been literate. You know, if you had actually targeted the Battle Ocean, that would have actually potentially worked. Because my monster would lose all of its power, and then you might have actually stood a chance, but you know what, you didn't, because you're a fool who decided to go with the devil, and therefore you're dead. So, that is how that goes. That is how the Marincess are supposed to be played. We summon forth our mighty Link monsters onto the stage, and we proceed to annihilate our opponents with stage performance. That is how it goes. Regardless, we have time for one more duel today. Let us stride forth into one last glorious match, and then get back into the proper jousting, because this halftime show, I think, has run its course. Let's do one more of these rounds. Verily, my lords and ladies, we find ourselves in the final duel of today's festivities, the third round. And I've asked Lord Memphis to remove that perfidious trap from my deck. I don't like to play with the darn thing. I don't really like to play with it, so we're not playing with it anymore. I have instead replaced it with 2 copies of the Lord's Divine Wrath. It is far more chaste, far more God-willing. And what does our hand look like? Well, not that great of a hand. I mean, it has some things to it. It has some things. I like that I have mine Ocean already, so that's always good. But I don't have a single Marincess monster, which is not necessarily good. But I do get to draw a card, therefore, we shall see where this goes. What on earth are these? Some sort of demons? Clearly. What style are the demons? I will know the form so that I can snuff them quite easier. What is this going to do? Oh, you're summoned forth the King of Demons. I see, indeed. What does this do? Adds, see. Fallen Paradise, you say? You would assault Paradise itself? What does this do? You can draw 2 more cards. That targets Uriah, the Lord of Searing Flames, a demon. Haman, the Lord of Striking Thunder, more demons. Raphael, Lord of Phantasms, I think that's you, and you're clearly a demon. I cannot target them with card effects or destroy them with card effects, which is not necessarily good. And I have drawn into quite not much. And shall activate mine Harpy's Feather Duster, therefore, and clear out the opponent's board. I don't trust it. I don't trust it over much. Let's see. We shall see where this goes. We shall see where this goes. During my main phase. It has to be during the main phase, though. I can't do that right yet. Let me think about this. I could at least get that out of the board, but I don't think that will work. So, regrettably, I am forced to set a card and pass my turn. I do not like to do this, but it's all I can really do right at the moment. If I could have made him use this creature, mayhaps that could have worked. I could have activated mine triple tactics, but I was not set up enough for mine tactics. What on earth is this? Okay. What does that do? I don't know and I don't trust it. Get out of here. Let's see. Card effect that targets this card. Send up to 1 of each of your demons from the deck to the grave, and if you do, place a counter on this card. Fascinating. What else does it do? This card will be destroyed by battle card effect. Remove a phantasm counter from this card instead. Fascinating. Fascinating that you need to sacrifice your own allies to protect yourself. Clearly. Let's see. Alright, so we at least have a monster that we can summon forth. Let us summon forth our Marincess Pasculus. And what is this doing? Oh, he gets he summons more demons, I see. Fascinating. Well, unfortunate for you, sir. I will be taking advantage of that in a moment. I shall first off summon forth mine Blue Slug, which is not an ideal thing to have, but it's all I have at the moment. I would normally like to have more creatures, and that is what we shall be attempting to do. Let us activate our triple tactical talents and draw 2 more cards. I could simply steal my opponent's monster, but I'd rather not touch his monsters. Let's see here. Not much I can do at the moment. Regrettably, I don't have my seahorse, so instead I'm just going to attack this creature, I think. No, if I do that, something bad will happen. He wants me to do that. I shall destroy this token instead. This will work just fine. I have a plan for this. I shall end my turn, and we shall see where this goes. My Marincess actors, I will say, unlike the Mekankos, require a bit more setup to get things going. Regrettably, I haven't drawn enough of the monsters to do that, however. Not an ideal situation. Let's see. Oh, and he's sent this creature back to his yard of graves, I see. So now his monster will be strong again. Verily, verily. But I have methods of getting rid of this creature now. You may draw 2 more cards, sir, but they will avail you not. What say you now? You have the Lord of Phantasms indeed, but the Lord of Phantasms is nothing before the Lord in heaven himself, and I shall not abide by it. What is this? What on earth is this? Something to do with another one of these demons, I think. Let's see. Summon forth Haman, you can use face-down cards. Fascinating, but I don't care. But you've attacked into my monster, therefore I shall snuff you with mine lance. Your monster loses 3,000 attack points. And he takes no more damage this turn, apparently. Somewhat irrelevant, but it is what it is. Let us summon forth our Marincess Pascalus, and use her power to summon forth the Spring Girl. Summon both of our monsters to our board, and I shall continue to summon forth creatures. Let's see here. Into the graveyard, send cards, equal to the number of Marincess. Yes. Let us send these 2 monsters to the grave and summon forth our sea anemone. The Spring Girl shall now activate her effect, and my opponent surrenders like the coward that they are. And I gave you the benefit of the doubt that you would at least last long enough for me to wet my blade upon. Well, regardless, that is unfortunately all the time we have for today's festivities. I would do a fourth time, but regardless, let's get out of the halftime show and continue on to the true joust. So let us conclude today. Verily, my lords and ladies, I welcome you to the end of today's festivities. The Marincess, well, they got 3 wins, I suppose. I mean, I don't, in my honest respect, I do not like this card. This card is the devil's work, and I feel dirty for having played it. I'll have to ask Lord Memphis to never include it in a deck again. I don't appreciate it very much. But you have the idea of what this deck is about. We summon forth our ladies, and we make them into larger ladies and stronger ladies. We set up our stage performance, and then we start to run over our opponents like a herd of angry peasants. And so, it works fairly well when it does. Sometimes it doesn't have all the cards in the hand that we'd like them to have. Perhaps if Lord Memphis had included more cards to searching out the cards, rather than more cards to wipe out boards, it would have worked a little bit better, but who is to say? Who is to say, indeed? But regardless, we were able to summon forth our Marincess, at least to an extent, and you get the idea of what their show is about. I would rate their show, I will give them a generous 3 for today. Perhaps if they had done a little bit more, if my opponents hadn't been a bunch of Nancy boys, I would have given them a 4 stars, at least. I'm a very generous person, especially towards young maidens. Especially when half of them are little girls, and, you know, you can't trust little girls with much of anything. So, we were able to summon forth our Marincesses and do their style of performance, and with what I saw, I very much enjoyed it, and I would recommend them quite so. So, I shall now proceed to deliver onto the list of cards for today's deck, and then we shall proceed to tell of what is to come for tomorrow's joust. So, for the deck of main today, we contain 2 copies of the Worldly Lance, for it is quite strong. 3 copies of this giant turtle that shall be served for supper. 1 copy of the Marincess Sleepy Maiden. She's a maiden who is sleeping. I don't know what else to say there. She needs to get off her butt and get some work done. 3 copies of the Blue Tang, who is the leading lady, next to the Seahorse. They both are very important. 3 copies of this Pascalus, where she lets us summon more of her maidens to the field. 3 copies of the Spring Girl. 3 copies of the Seahorse. I almost forgot about the Sea Nettle thing. Still not sure what a sea nettle is, but I guess that's a sea nettle. We have 3 copies of a small child with a tail, clearly a demon in disguise. 2 copies of the Marincess Mandarin, who is clearly a child and should not be involved in theater until she is old enough and has a man's permission. We also possess 2 copies of the Lightning Storm, replacing the Devil's Work here. 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. 2 triple tactical talents and 1 triple tactical thrust. 2 copies of the Marincess Dive. 1 copy of Monsters Reborn, the Lord's Word. We have 1 copy of Called by the Grave. 1 Marincess Battle Ocean. 3 copies of the Infinite Impermanence. And 2 copies of the Marincess Wave card. For our extra deck, we have 2 copies each of the Sea Angel, who is another little girl who should not be in theater. Also, I can see your bloomers. What's wrong with you, woman? Put some clothes on. We have 2 copies of the Blue Slug, who is thankfully slightly better dressed. 1 copy of the Crystal Heart of the Marincess. We have the Court Wizard of the Splash Mage. 2 copies of the Marincess Coral Anemone. 1 copy of the Coral Triangle. These are some very fancifully dressed women, I must say. 1 copy of the Marincess Marbled Rock. 1 copy of the Marincess Argo Argonaut. 1 of this dragon. I say it's a dragon. It looks like a dragon. It's a sea serpent, so it's a sea dragon. The world's dragon, Zelat. See, it's called a dragon. It's Zelantis the dragon. We shall slay him later. We have Marincess Great Bubble Reef. We have the frog upon another tangerine. And then we have Bahamut Shark, which it looks like a dragon to me. Is a shark a dragon? I'm not certain. I don't know. What is a shark? I'm not certain. But yes, that is our main and extra deck. For the side deck, we have, well, there's not much you can say. If there's other links, you could play those. There's this card called the Silent Mining, which Lord Memphis forgot to put in here. I mentioned this, but he apparently forgot to put in the card that searches out more monsters when we need them. So I would recommend 3 of this card, or at least 2 of the darn thing. What you replace in it is up to you. Possibly this is the Lord's Judgment. Maybe this turtle. Possibly. There's Terraforming, as well as another copy of the Marincess Battle Ocean in case you do lose this. This could be good to have a backup plan. We also have the additional Monster Reborn. It's like our Monster Reborn, but slightly different. We have this card, but we're not going to... What did I just do? I can click buttons and make cards disappear? What trickery is this? But yeah, we don't play that card. And lastly, there's this card, which has something to do with searching out high-level water monsters. Which I suppose is something you can play if you really want to search out this thing more often. This turtle. I mean, if you're into turtle soup, go right ahead. But that is the day's deck, everyone. I hope thou have enjoyed quite well. And tomorrow we continue with Jousts and the final 2 days of the week of Fairest Maidens. And I believe... What are we playing tomorrow? We are playing the deck based around the Court Mage's Apprentices, I believe. And they are all still very, very poorly dressed. I can see way too much of their legs. Get your acts together. Very well. But regardless, that was today's deck. I very much hope thou enjoyed it. And I shall see thee upon the morrow with more jousting and more feasting.